Have you ever noticed how the second someone tells you not to do something, you get an almost irresistible urge to do it? Your dad says, "Don't touch the wet paint," and suddenly your fingers start twitching. A sign reads, "Do not enter," and a part of your brain just has to know it's behind that door. A limited edition pair of sneakers sells out, and all of a sudden, you want them more than ever. It's not just you, and you're not broken. It's a powerful psychological trigger that's basically built into our minds, often called the forbidden fruit effect. This hidden glitch affects everything from the small choices you make every day to your biggest life decisions. So today, we're going to break down why we want what we can't have, and how understanding this quirk can actually give you more control over your own mind. This isn't a new idea. It's one of the oldest stories we have. From Pandora being told not to open that box, to Eve being warned away from one specific tree in the Garden of Eden, we've always been fascinated by what's off limits. This isn't just a personality trait. It's a fundamental and often totally irrational response wired into our thinking. Think back. As a kid, the cookie jar on the highest shelf wasn't just a container for cookies. It was a challenge. One study on kids and food restrictions found that children who were forbidden from having candy at home got way more worked up and excited when they were finally exposed to it. The simple act of forbidding it made the candy seem more powerful. As a teenager, maybe you were told a certain movie or album was off limits, which only made you 10 times more determined to see or hear it. Researchers have seen this exact effect in teens, where restricted media becomes far more appealing just because it's forbidden. This powerful urge to do the opposite of what you're told doesn't just fade away when you grow up. It follows us right into adulthood, messing with our careers, our relationships, and our bank accounts. It's a ghost in the machine, and it has a name. The official term for this forbidden fruit glitch is psychological reactance. A psychologist named Jack Brim came up with the theory back in 1966. He suggested that when we feel like our freedom to choose is being threatened, our brain triggers a powerful motivational state. This state, called reactance, is a deeply unpleasant, agitating feeling that makes us want to get our sense of control back. And what's the quickest way to prove our freedom is still intact? Do the exact thing we were told we couldn't. It basically works in 3 steps. First, you believe you have a freedom. This is your baseline, a simple belief that you can choose what to wear, what to eat, or what to think. Second, a threat to that freedom appears. This could be a direct order from a boss, a new annoying rule, a sold-out sign, or even some well-meaning advice from a friend. The bigger the freedom and the more aggressive the threat, the stronger your reaction will be. Third, you feel the reactance. This is that emotional spike, a mix of anger, frustration, and defiance that pushes you to act. That feeling isn't just in your head. It's a genuine psychological response to losing control. This leads to the final stage, getting your freedom back. You defy the order. You hunt down the forbidden item. You do the opposite of what was suggested, all to prove that you, and only you, are in charge of your choices. So that irresistible urge isn't just you being difficult. It's your brain's defense mechanism, a kind of psychological immune system kicking in to protect your sense of self. Once you know what this is, you start seeing psychological reactance everywhere. It's the foundation of countless marketing strategies. When a company slaps a limited time offer or only 5 left in stock label on something, they're creating an artificial threat to your freedom to buy that thing later. This triggers reactance, making the product suddenly seem way more valuable and urgent. The scarcity principle doesn't just work because we're afraid of missing out, but because being told we can't have something makes us want to prove that we can. Compare that to a gentler approach, like a simple cart reminder email. It's less aggressive and feels more like a helpful nudge than a threat, which is less likely to trigger that defiant reaction. It also has a huge impact on our relationships. The classic playing hard to get strategy is pure psychological reactance. A person who seems unavailable presents a challenge to our freedom to choose them as a partner. This can make them seem more desirable, not necessarily because of who they are, but because the forbiddance or unavailable label has been subconsciously slapped on. We even see it on a massive societal scale. During the COVID-19 pandemic, some of the widespread resistance to mask mandates was a large-scale example of psychological reactance. For some people, the mandates felt like a major threat to their personal freedom, which triggered a powerful motivation to resist and get that feeling of autonomy back. The debate wasn't just about public health. For many, it was about a fundamental clash with this deeply ingrained psychological trigger. If you're finding this interesting, and maybe recognizing this little glitch in your own life, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're all about exploring the hidden psychology that drives our daily lives, and your support makes it possible to create more videos just like this one. While this drive for freedom can be a good thing, protecting us from being controlled, it definitely has a dark side. It can lead us straight into self-sabotage. Reactance is an emotional response, not a logical one. It doesn't care if a rule or piece of advice is good for you. All it cares about is defending your freedom. Have you ever refused to do something you knew you should do, just because someone else told you to do it? A manager might ask you to complete a task that's genuinely critical for your job, but because it feels like an order, you procrastinate or do a sloppy job. That's reactance sabotaging your own career. It's the person who, after being advised by a doctor to eat healthier, defiantly orders the greasiest thing on the menu. It's the student who knows they need to study for a big exam, but won't open a book because their parents won't stop nagging them about it. In those moments, the desire to assert your freedom becomes more powerful than the desire for a good outcome. You're literally working against your own best interests just to satisfy a short-term reflexive urge to push back. You're letting the glitch win by choosing the feeling of control over the reality of progress. So what can we do? We can't just delete this glitch from our brains. It's too fundamental. But we can learn to notice it and choose not to follow its lead. The solution isn't to crush our desire for freedom, but to shine a light on this unconscious process. First, just learn to spot the feeling. Reactance feels like something specific. A sudden spike of anger, irritation, or defensiveness when a choice is taken away. When you feel that hot, Don single quotes tell me what to do flare up. That's your cue. That's the alarm bell telling you reactance has been triggered. Second, pause and get curious. Instead of just reacting, stop for a second and ask yourself, do I actually want this? Or do I only want it because I'm being told I can't have it? Try to separate the real value of the thing from the extra value your brain just added because it was restricted. Are you really mad for a good reason? Or are you just mad that your freedom feels threatened? That tiny pause can be the difference between a conscious choice and a knee-jerk reaction. Third, change the way you talk to yourself. Instead of thinking, I have to do this, which frames it like an order, try thinking, I get to do this, or I'm choosing to do this. This simple language switch puts you back in the driver's seat. It disarms the reactance by reminding your brain that you are, in fact, the one in control. Finally, you can use this to communicate better with other people. When you need to convince someone of something, try to avoid forceful or controlling language. Frame things as a choice or a collaboration. Instead of saying, you need to do this, try, I think this is a good idea, but what do you think? Or, here are a couple of options, which one seems best to you? By respecting their autonomy from the start, you can avoid triggering their reactance and turn them into an ally instead of an opponent. The forbidden fruit glitch psychological reactance is one of the most powerful and invisible forces in our lives. It's the defiant toddler that lives inside all of us, demanding control and freedom at all costs. It's a primal defense of our autonomy that can protect us, but it can also trick us into making irrational decisions and sabotaging ourselves. But by understanding how it works, by learning to recognize its pull and question its motives, we can go from being driven by our own psychology to being the ones in the driver's seat. The goal isn't to stop wanting freedom. It's to make sure that in our search for it, we don't accidentally become our own worst enemy. So what's the one forbidden fruit you've chased in your life? And was it worth it in the end? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to read them.